Good afternoon and good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar, which will introduce KU Select 2016, which is our third collection. I'm Christina Emery, and I'm Partnership Manager for Knowledge Unlatched. As you may have seen, you've been muted, but you can type in any questions into the chat box on the right-hand side. This webinar will be recorded, and a link to the recording will be sent to you after the webinar. I'll be happy to answer your questions at the end of the presentation, so do feel free to type them into the chat box, and I'll address them at the end. The presentation should last around 20 minutes, with time for questions and answers at the end. And I'll be giving you details about KU Select 2016, as well as a glimpse of what KU is planning for the future. So I'm sure you're very curious about the new collection, so let's just dive straight into the nitty-gritty about what it contains. The pledging period is now open for librarians to show their support for titles in KU Select 2016. For this collection, a total of 343 books were shortlisted by the Title Selection Committee, which is a group of 40 acquisitions and collections librarians in 12 countries. These books all fall into 16 subject categories in the Humanities and Social Sciences, which we've grouped into 14 packages. For the first time, we're introducing opening access up to backlist titles alongside new titles. In order to participate, there's again a minimum amount which libraries will need to pledge. And in order to acknowledge libraries' purchases of additional formats of books that you've pledged for, publishers have again agreed to a discount, which is 35% off the recommended retail price and can be claimed directly from the relevant publishers. The frontlist collection consists of 147 new titles in the Humanities and Social Sciences. These titles are scheduled to be published between November 2016 and April 2017. The pledging price per frontlist title is $55 or £40. The Backlist Collection consists of 196 Humanities and Social Sciences titles. We set strict criteria for these titles. They had to be published between 2005 and 2015, and these books should be offered at a greatly reduced price of $13.75 or £10 per title per library. So why is KU expanding to backlist titles? A popular request from libraries was that KU increase the number of titles it offers to libraries. We decided to ask publishers for backlist titles that complement the frontlist titles so that researchers and students would be able to have a greater reading selection. We've talked about how and why monographs are facing difficulties in previous webinars. It's a challenge which faces libraries and publishers as well as academics, and you can see why open access is beneficial for academics in particular in this image. This is where KU comes in. Many libraries are struggling to afford books, as you all know. Authors are finding it harder to get published. Many readers are struggling to gain access to the books that they want, in spite of the possibilities of digital technology. I mentioned the new Backlist collection earlier. If the world is to have access to the foundational building blocks of disciplines, then we have to open up backlist titles as well as new books. Some publishers are already making deep backlist titles open, and these books are no longer selling in any material manner. While there are now ways of funding open access publishing going forward, there is a middle body of content that remains closed. This is what KU now needs support for to make open. So, what is Knowledge Unlatched? KU is an award-winning initiative that helps libraries from around the world to share the costs of making books open access. By open access, we mean available to anyone in the world to read or download for free on a Creative Commons license. KU was founded as a not-for-profit organisation by Francis Pinter in London in 2012. In 2015, Lucy Montgomery moved to Perth in Australia to become the director of the Centre for Culture and Technology at Curtin University. Lucy is also director of KU Research. Earlier this year, KU expanded to Germany with a base in Berlin, thanks to new managing director Sven Fundt, who is former CEO of De Gruyter. In July, a new base for KU was announced in Ann Arbor at the University of Michigan Library. How do libraries from around the world share the costs of making books open access? Publishers are paid a fixed title fee that is split amongst participating libraries. The title fee for new books represents the basic cost of publishing a book. This is much less than the price of a book through conventional channels, as there are fewer intermediaries involved. Of course, backlist unlatching is much less, because the publisher has already recovered much of their investment. Making it open access will eat into expected post-publication print sales. Payment of the title fee allows a publisher to feel confident that they will not make a loss on a book if it's made available on an open access license. And as I mentioned before, discounts are available to libraries who purchase additional formats of any of the books that you pledge for with KU. This is how the KU model works. Firstly, we ask publishers to submit titles that fulfill our criteria. The Title Selection Committee, which is made up of acquisitions and collections librarians, then votes on the titles. The shortlist of titles is then presented as a collection to the wider library community, who then pledge on smaller subject packages within the collection. If enough pledges are secured in order to cover the cost of the title fees, then these books can be unlatched. Libraries are then invoiced for their selection, and publishers are paid. Libraries will receive MARC records and their own usage statistics reports based on their institutional IP addresses. If there aren't enough pledges to cover the title fees, then those packages will not be unlatched, and libraries won't be invoiced for those books. So far, we've run 2 successful collections and unlatched over 100 books. In the pilot collection, 28 books from 13 publishers were made open access. Since the unlatching, which started in March 2014, there have been just under 74,000 downloads in 183 countries via OAPEN and the Internet Archive. This averages to 2,600 downloads per book, compared to sales of a couple of hundred, as would be expected for closed monographs. In addition to this, there have been almost 22,000 page views on HathiTrust's platform. Of course, these statistics don't include access via publishers' own platforms or any other routes. In round 2, a further 78 books from 26 publishers were made available on an open access basis. We started to unlatch these books in March 2016, and as their forthcoming titles, the remaining books will be unlatched upon publication throughout the next couple of months. If you want to take a look at the latest usage statistics report, which is an aggregated public report, you can take a look on our website under KU Research Usage Statistics, and you can find an interactive map and timeline, so you can select areas, zoom into countries, and also look at different months. Anyone, anywhere can access the unlatched titles by going to our collections website. The address is at the top of the slide here. 380 libraries plus consortia have participated in the KU collection so far. These libraries come from 24 countries around the world, so you can see that KU has a global appeal. A list of all participating libraries can be found on our website, www.knowledgeunlatched.org. There are many reasons why libraries participate in KU's collections, ranging from a general wish to support the open access cause to using KU as a viable means to fulfill OA mandates in their countries. KU books are also good value for money. The benefits that KU and its model offer attract libraries who seek a sustainable and flexible way to purchase ebooks and at the same time make those books open access. KU asked libraries what would encourage them to participate, and as a result, the model reflects this feedback. Recent suggestions have involved more books, more flexibility, and more choice. So KU has expanded its offering. We've built in a pick and choose option to select titles on an individual basis, and we now allow for early invoicing for libraries who wish to take advantage of their 2016 budget. Our partners include Hearty Trust and OAPEN, which both host the open access versions of KU titles. All of our books are preserved by Clocks and Portico. And we now have increased support for handling sign-ups and invoicing. We are again working together with Lyrasis in North America and JISC Collections in the UK, as in previous rounds. New partners, Castellini Libri, Karga Libri, and Schweitzer are joining us for KU Select 2016 in various countries around the world. Let's focus in again on KU Select 2016. Here's the list of 54 publishers who are participating in the new collection. They range from university presses to commercial as well as OA publishers and come from 5 continents: Africa, Asia, Australia, Europe, and North America. You can find this list in the FAQs and also in the title list spreadsheets, which are on our website. I'll give you the link at the end. Here is a brief summary of how KU has expanded since the last collection. Publishers have agreed to offer a discount to libraries purchasing additional formats of KU titles so that you can avoid paying twice for the same content. Libraries can claim this 35% discount directly from publishers when placing their order for additional formats. KU encourages publishers to include a reference to the KU open access version to enable libraries to make informed decisions about these additional formats. Knowledge Unlatched knows that it is important for librarians to have a say in the steering of KU and in the content of its collections. We listened to feedback about expanding the subject areas, and we also assembled a title selection committee from nominations. 40 acquisitions and collections librarians from 12 countries then voted on a list of 681 titles that publishers had submitted for KU Select 2016, which met our criteria for this collection. A list of these librarians can be found on our website. The feedback from the committee was positive, with some even struggling to decide on the great choice. Although I mentioned some figures in the snapshot slide earlier, here are some more details. Front list titles cost $55 or £40 per library to unlatch, and backlist titles cost $13.75 or £10 each. In order to participate in KU Select 2016, libraries need to pledge for either the complete KU Select 2016 collection of 343 titles, both frontlist and backlist, This costs $10,780 or £7,840, with a minimum pledge of 90% or $9,702 or £7,056. There is also the option to pledge for the KU Select 2016 front list collection only of 147 titles, which costs $8,085 or £5,880, with a minimum pledge of 90% or $7,277, which is £5,292. These amounts already include the 15% service charge, which is shared equally between publishers and libraries, and covers KU's costs and allows for the model to be sustainable. The pledging period is open from the 1st of September to the 31st of January 2017. Libraries should create an account for the library portal at app.knowledgeunlatched.org. You'll be able to view the collection, read about the books, and also place your pledges here. Here's a screenshot of the library portal showing the front list collection. You can see the list of packages, how many titles you have pledged for in each package, and at the top, the amount of pledges confirmed for that collection. You can also pledge for the entire collection by clicking on Select All. In the bottom right-hand corner is a green circle, which is the pop-up chat window. You can ask us any questions directly by using that window. Once you're looking at a package, you can click on any book to read the description. Remember that you can download the full title and publisher list as an Excel spreadsheet from our website at any time. You can pledge on 3 levels, either by collection or by package by clicking the relevant Select All buttons, or you can select individual titles on the right-hand side. You can also delete pledges and edit your choices until the end of the pledging period, even if you've confirmed your choice. For further details, please download our step-by-step guide to pledging, which is also available on our website. The pledging period will end on the 31st of January 2017, and KU will then assess the pledges it has received to see if the collection or if individual packages can be unlatched. Libraries will be informed of the outcome in February, and then KU will start to unlatch the titles. Libraries will receive their invoices in February, and publishers will be paid later. So what's next for KU? Libraries can propose publishers for inclusion into future collections if they wish. KU is also planning to expand to Humanities and Social Sciences journals from 2018. And of course, KU will continue its research work in usage and in other metrics. In 2015, KU established KU Research, which is working on finding better ways to track how open access books are being used and to develop simple, easy to understand usage reports for libraries, authors, and publishers. Lucy Montgomery, together with PhD researcher Alkeem Ozaigan at Curtin University, are leading the research. They found a way to provide libraries with counter-compliant individual usage statistics for their institutions, and these reports will be available for participating libraries for the pilot from November this year. Statistics for the Round 2 and KU Select 2016 collections will be available from 2017. Here's a preview of how the institutional usage stats reports will look like. Libraries which participated in the pilot should log in to the KU Library portal, and then they can download their report from the Analytics section. Before we move on to the Q&A session, don't forget to jot down the address of the library portal so that you can create your own account. As mentioned, the pledging period is now officially open. Information about KU Select 2016 can be found on our main website, where you can download the title list as well as these other documents. If you're familiar with our website, you'll notice that we launched a new one in mid-October. Due to KU expanding, we wanted to revamp our website to be able to better showcase our new projects and developments. Any old links you have should be automatically redirected to the new pages, but please get in touch if you're having difficulties navigating the new website, and I'll do my best to help. We regularly use Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn, so please do connect with us on social media. Thanks for listening to this presentation today. Now let's move on to the Q&A session. Please let me know if you have any questions by typing them into the chat box. I mentioned the chat window earlier on our library portal website, just to let you know that if you do type questions into here, the trade partner in your area will be replying. So for the UK, it will be myself. And I see we have someone online from North America. So in that case, it will be Lyrasis who will respond to your questions. Okay, I have a question here about consortia buy-in, consortia deals. These will be handled, well, it depends really in which territory you are. So I think you're in North America, in which case, I don't know if you're familiar with someone called Celeste Feather, but she works for Lyrasis and she's handling all of the consortia deals. So it's really on a case-by-case basis, depending on the size, because they range quite dramatically. So for North America, it would be Celeste Feather from Lyrasis to get in touch with. So I'll send you her email address at the end of this webinar. Something else that might interest you about our website is that you can read authors' opinions on what they think about open access in general, but also on Knowledge Unlatched. There is a section on our website. If you go to the news section and click on interviews, you'll be able to see interviews from before they participated in KU and also after they participated to see if their opinion changed. And most of them are generally very positive and supportive of open access, which has opened up possibilities to them for appearing on TV, for generally disseminating their work much wider. So yeah, it's quite interesting to look at that section. Okay, are there any more questions that I can help with? Great, well that seems to be it for the moment. So thanks very much for your time today. And I will be sending a link to the recording after the webinar. If you have any questions, feel free to send me an email. And yes, thanks for your time today. Bye.